In this video, I'll summarise the plot of The Picture of Dorian Gray in about 4 minutes and give you an analysis of the story. The novel begins in the studio of Basil Hallward, an artist who is painting a portrait of a beautiful young man named Dorian Gray. Basil is deeply fascinated by Dorian's youthful beauty and purity. When Dorian meets Basil's friend, Lord Henry Wotton, he is introduced to a philosophy of hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure above all else. Lord Henry warns Dorian that his beauty will fade with time, making him envious of the eternal youth captured in his portrait. In a moment of despair, Dorian wishes that the painting would age, instead of him, allowing him to remain young forever. Soon after, Dorian falls in love with Sybil Vane, a talented but poor actress who performs in a shabby theatre. Enchanted by her beauty and talent, he believes he has found true love. However, when Sybil gives up acting for him, he loses interest and cruelly rejects her. Heartbroken, she takes her own life. When Dorian checks his portrait, he notices a change. The once perfect image now bears a slight cruel sneer. Realising that his wish has come true, and that his sins will be reflected in the painting while he remains unmarked, Dorian locks the portrait away and fully embraces a life of indulgence and moral corruption under Lord Henry's influence. Years pass, and Dorian remains outwardly young and beautiful, while his hidden portrait grows more grotesque with each sin he commits. Rumours circulate about his immoral lifestyle, but no physical evidence of his corruption can be seen on his face. Meanwhile, Basil, troubled by the dark rumours about Dorian, confronts him and demands to see the portrait. Dorian reluctantly reveals the now hideous image, shocking Basil, who urges him to repent. Instead, Dorian, overwhelmed by anger and a desire to keep his secret, murders Basil and enlists a scientist, Alan Campbell, to dispose of the body. After Basil's murder, Dorian becomes increasingly paranoid. James Vane, Sybil's vengeful brother, has been hunting Dorian for years, blaming him for his sister's death. When James finally finds him, he hesitates to kill him because Dorian still appears young, making it impossible for James to believe he is the same man who wronged Sybil so many years ago. However, James later realises the truth and pursues Dorian. His pursuit ends when he is accidentally killed during a hunting accident. Relieved, Dorian believes he is safe and that he can continue his life without consequences. Despite his continued indulgence, Dorian begins to feel the weight of his sins and considers changing his ways. He tries to do a good deed, but when he checks the portrait, he sees that his attempt at redemption has only made it more grotesque. Realising that his soul is beyond saving, he becomes desperate to free himself from the curse. In a moment of madness, he takes a knife and stabs the painting. The next morning, his servants find an old, withered man lying dead on the floor, with a knife wound in his heart. The once hideous painting has returned to its original form, while Dorian's body now reflects the corruption of his soul. One of the central themes of The Picture of Dorian Gray is the danger of living a purely hedonistic life. Under Lord Henry's influence, Dorian believes that pursuing pleasure without moral consequence is the key to happiness. However, his unchecked indulgence leads to suffering, destruction, and ultimately his downfall. The novel critiques the idea that beauty and youth can be preserved at any cost, showing that a life without moral responsibility leads to corruption and ruin. Dorian's portrait serves as a symbol of the duality of human nature, the contrast between outward appearance and inner reality. While Dorian remains physically flawless, his soul, as reflected in the portrait, becomes increasingly twisted and grotesque. This idea mirrors the Victorian concern with reputation and the hidden sins lurking beneath society's polished exterior. Wilde suggests that suppressing one's darker impulses does not eliminate them. Rather, they fester in secrecy until they can no longer be controlled.